Usurbil is a town and region located in the province of Gipuzkoa in the autonomous community of the Basque Country, in the north of Spain. It lies in an area well known for its sagardotegiak and the area adjacent to the river for its eels. Geography. Boroughs at the center of the town are the old boroughs of Usurbil, Gipuzkoa, Calbury, usually simply called Usurbil. Most of the population is concentrated here. Ajanaga is an area of the town associated with eel fishing and on the road from Usurbil to Orio. It has some 450 inhabitants and forms its own parish. Achegal district is located next to the motorway. It has around 500 inhabitants. Texequiadi is a small settlement near Lasart-Oria. It is surrounded by industrial units and forms the Usurbil industrial estate. Calizar is a borough near the center along a street leading onto the hill that dominates the valley of the Oria. It is the location of a medieval settlement and its name translates as the Old Street. It has about 650 inhabitants. Erderaga is located on the western edge of the town. Its traditional name is of Erderaga but is more commonly known by the name of the church. It has 175 inhabitants. Santuania is located on the western bank of the Oria River. It has slightly over 500 inhabitants. Zubieta is a district split between the municipalities of Donostia and Usurbil. Zubieta is on the western bank of the Oria River and is an enclave of Donostia between Usurbil and Lasart-Oria. Achegaraldi, Santuania, neighboring areas. To the north Usurbil borders Donostia-Igeldo and Anorga Baris. To the east Lasart-Oria and Zubieta in the southeast. In the south it borders Sizikal and to the west Ar and Orio. Donostia, the capital of the region, is about 11 kilometers away, Lasart-Oria 2 kilometers and Orio 10 kilometers. Climate history. The oldest traces of human presence of the area are on the mountain called Andatsa, which has numerous Neolithic tumuli and menhirs. It is commonly believed that what is currently Usurbil formerly formed part of the administrative region of Hernani, which extended into the area between the river Usurbil and Oria. The oldest inhabited area appears to have been on the left bank of the Usurbil, broadly corresponding to the modern Erderaga. In a document dating back to the 13th century there is mention of a Monasterio de San Esteban which has by now disappeared but forms the foundation of the present-day Hermitage of San Esteban. Next to the monastery the tower house of Erderaga was constructed in the 14th century which gave the area its name. During the 12th century an important tract of land in Usurbil was donated to a monastery of Oraga in Navarre. They remained with the monastery until they were confiscated by Mendizabal in 1836. Following the confiscation, the area of Mount Arasasi and Andatsa were forested and form one of the best preserved areas of forest in Gipuzkoa even today. In 1180 King Sancho VI of Navarre added Usurbil and most of Zubieta into the boroughs of Donostia. At the time the population was living in small scattered settlements which formed the nuclei of modern-day Erderaga and Ajanaga, and the parish church was built in its present location. The most powerful family were the Achegas, who owned a tower house next to a strategic river crossing on the Oria. This situation remained until 1371 when the Castilian King Henry II of Castile granted the right to the inhabitants of San Salvador to form a new settlement called Belmonte Usurbil, independent of Donostia. The new settlement was built on a hill some distance away from the Oria River and the parish church to avoid the influence of the Achega family, leaving the church halfway between the new settlement and the Achega Tower House. The borders continued to shift, Oria originally forming part of Usurbil until 1379 when it became an independent town. The areas on the western bank of the Auria also were not part of the town originally. Towards the end of the 14th century, the borough of Zubieta was given the choice between remaining with Donostia or joining Usurbil. 14 households stayed with Donostia, the remaining 7 joined Usurbil. The old layout of Belmont to Usurbil was simple, essentially consisting of 2 parallel streets. It corresponds well with the modern borough of Calizar. In 1486 a fire broke out and destroyed Belmont to Usurbil completely. As the power of the Achaga family had waned, Belmont was also less important, and during the 16th century the other boroughs of Ajinaga, Erdaraga, Zubieta and Elizalde began to challenge the privileges held by Belmont, such as the prohibition of setting up slaughterhouses outside the town walls. Especially Ajinaga initiated numerous court cases. As the old center declined, new areas developed that would one day become the center of the town. The borough of Elizalde, Basque side of the church, started out as a small number of houses built against the church walls. As a result of the incessant legal challenges between Ajinaga and Belmont, the town council relocated to Elizalde in 1672, and by the end of the 17th century, Belmont and Elizalde were already of a similar size. The changing place names also bear witness to this power shift, with Calbury now contrasting with Belmont's new name, Calizar. In 1826 Usurbil formed a union with neighboring Auria and Zizikal, the Union of Andatsabi, to pay for a common representative to the Gipuzkoa Batzanagiziaka Grand Council of Gipuzkoa. Economy. The traditional industries of Usurbil were ironware, anchor and shipbuilding, making use of the surrounding abundance of woodland. At the shipyards of Mapil in Ajinaga, ships for the Spanish Navy were built. Industrialization arrived in Usurbil in 1934 when a Michelin tire factory was built between Usurbil and Hernani, giving work to many locals. Due to the distance, Usurbil itself was not majorly affected, but Lasart, which was much closer, changed radically and grew into a town of some 20,000 inhabitants. Despite lower production, the factory continues to be a major employer in the area with some 1,700 employees. It also happens to be one of the few factories producing Michelin motorcycle tires worldwide. A sizable number of SMEs are located in the area too. Important ones are Ingamar, cutters and polishers of marble and granite, Victorio Lazuriaga, Usurbil in Texaquiadi, a smelter. Both employ some 300 staff each. Administration. In Usurbil, the Basque nationalist parties commonly attract between 75 to 80% of the votes. These are almost equally divided between the moderate nationalists and the leftist nationalists. After the restoration of democracy in Spain, the first 2 mayors belonged to the EAJPNV. When each split away from the EAJPNV in 1986, the next 3 mayorships fell to Heri Batasuna under José Antonio Altuna for 16 years. When Heri Batasuna was made illegal, Altuna could not stand for re-election in 2003 and Luis Maria Ormaechea became mayor. In the last elections for the Basque government in 2005, the Basque Nationalist Coalition PNV each won, taking 39.3% of the vote, followed by the independentist DHAK with 33.3%, PSOE with 11%, the independentist Arela with 6% and Partido Popular with 5.8%. Gastronomy. There are 2 gastronomical products that have given fame to Usurbil: glass eels and cider. Glass eels used to be common in most Basque rivers, and in the Auria used to come upstream as far as Ajinaga, whose inhabitants became expert angular fishers. Anguilas de Aguinaga, made with oil and capsicum, are famous throughout Spain. glass eels have become rare as a result of pollution and have pushed up the price considerably. Sagardotegiak is another important product, and together with Astigarraga and Hernani, it is one of the main cider towns in Gipuzkoa. Cider production hit a low in the 1980s, and of the 3 factories producing sparkling cider or cidra champanada in the area, only one remains. From 1981 onwards, Usurbil pioneered the sagardotegiak, giving new impetus to the industry so successfully that other towns have taken up the idea. Today cider production is on the increase again, and so the area still boasts many traditional and modern sagardotegiak. Sport. The main sport facility of the town is the Polideportivo Iado that was opened in 1990. This multi-purpose center has capacities for 500 spectators, a covered swimming pool, squash courts, a gym and an outdoor football pitch. Most local sports clubs are based here, for example the Usurbil Kirol El Kartia, the judo club Usurbil, and karate clubs and Andatsa. There is also a football stadium, Harawan, owned by the city council. The Usurbil Football Taldia football team are based here. More sporting facilities exist at the Akastila Sudragi School, which has a multi-purpose fronton and a concrete track. The Konstaduzafera fronton is located in the center of Usurbil, next to the church. It is a covered fronton with additional tracks for the Basque rural sports. Ajanaga and San Esteban Erderaga also have covered pelota pitches. Zubiatar has a fronton built for the Joko Gabi variant of pelota, which is very rare today in Gipuzkoa. Famous people: Imanol Aguirrex, footballer for Real Sociedad; Jose Antonio Arce, writer and musician who with his brother was instrumental in the revitalization of the Texoipata; Casabia Bengothka, footballer; Casabia Carballedo Echeverria, cyclist and currently sport director of Euskaltel Euskadi; Casabia Mikel Arrecondo, international handball player; Andoni Arriola Sagana, footballer for Athletic Bilbao; David Asensio Lopez, footballer for various teams including Athletic Bilbao; Jaime Zubeldia, cyclist for professional road racing cyclist who rides for UCI Pro Team Trek Segafredo; Felix Mendizabal was a Spanish sprinter.